Okay, so short video showing you how to import assets into Unreal and how to apply the textures to them, and also how to create collisions too. So first of all, I've just created a folder called 3D models. I'm going to go into my file explorer. I'm going to find my door and I'm going to import it. Okay, the important thing to note when I do this is that if I scroll down under mesh, you can see this option here called combine meshes. Okay, if I turn that on and I import, you'll see that my door frame and my door handle gets combined into one mesh. So if I bring it in, you can see that in my hierarchy, my world outliner, it's just one object, right? One actor, door underscore low. And we don't want that, right? Because we want to be able to select our door separately and then create an animation for it so it can swing open eventually. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete it out of my scene again, and I'm going to import it. And this time I'm going to turn off combine meshes and import it. And now you can see that my three meshes that this game object is made out of are all separate in my content. Okay, so if I select them all at once and I drag them in, I can drag them all in, and they're all in position already, right? Now if I make sure my snaps toggle rotation toggle is on and click E on the keyboard and start rotating it, I can rotate it 180 degrees to face my player character. When we import an object, we need to make sure the scale is correct. So you can see that is the scale of my character. So my door is way too big right now. So I'm going to select all three at once. And I'm just going to make sure scale snaps is on. I'm just going to scale it down. I'm going to hit play and I'm going to test it out. Okay. So it's in our scene, and it's the right scale. So now I'm going to add the textures to it. So I'm in my 3D models, and it's probably a good idea to create a new folder called door, which holds all of the door assets. I'm going to drag all those in there. Go into that door folder. I'm then going to create a new folder in here, call it textures. Okay, go into it, and here I'm going to drag in my door textures. Now these are channel pack textures, which I went over before, so I'm going to drag those in. Basically what it means is that my roughness, my metallic and my AO are all stored in one texture. So instead of having three texture sheets, they're all stored in the one through the different RGB channels. Okay, so my textures are in. I now need to apply them to a material. So right click, create new material, call it door. Door. And I'm just going to drag that door material onto the three pieces. Go into it by double clicking. You'll get this menu here, this window, material editor window. And I'm going to drag in my albedo. And because the albedo uses the RGB channels, you know, it's color information, I'm going to drag that into base color. I'm going to drag in my normal map. Again, normal map uses RGB channels, so that can go into normal. Now, before I drag in my occlusion, roughness and metallic map, rule of thumb really is that I go into it and I turn off this sRGB. I turn that off because it's just a black and white texture. Click save. Okay, it's just a linear color texture. And then close that. Now I can drag it in, and you'll see that when it gets imported, the sample type changes to linear color instead. Okay, and it'll just give you, as opposed to the albedo, which is imported with color, because we turned off that sRGB, it changes to linear color, and that would just give us a more accurate PBR result, right? The reflectivity is going to look a little bit more like how it looks in Substance Painter. So instead of dragging the RGB from here into roughness and all of those different channels, because it's split into the RGB, I need to make sure that these are in the right place. These pins go to the correct pin. So the R, if I hover over, the first one is occlusion, so drag that into occlusion. The second one is roughness, so G goes to roughness. And the final one is metallic, so B goes to metallic. Okay, now I can just click save and close that down, and now our textures have been applied to our door. Okay, so now I can click play And the next task is to sort out the collisions, because at the moment I can just walk through them. Okay, so I'm going to press escape. I'm going to go back to my door where all the models are stored. And I'm going to go into each one individually and give it a collision. So I'll start with the door itself. So I'll double click it and it opens up this menu that I can edit. Now up here you can see a little collision drop down. If I click that and drop down simple collision, this will show any collision that we've got on our model right now, and currently we don't have any, so we need to add some collision to it. So I'm going to click this collision drop down here, and all I want to do is add a simple box collision, and Unreal Engine will do its best to kind of match the shape of this collision using a box, right? So I click box, and because it's a nice rectangle shape anyway, a door, it does a pretty good job at it, so we don't have to change anything. So now I can just click save, exit out of that, and then click play, and that should have updated it in the game. Now when I walk up to it, my character gets blocked, right? So now we need to do the door frame, because obviously when the door swings open, we need to be able to walk through the center of the door frame, however we get hit by the two pillars either side. So let's do that. I'm going to open up the door frame. Again, I'm going to show collision. At the moment there's none. And now I'm going to add a simple box collision, and you can see that adding that, it adds a collision, kind of like how it added the door. So if I click save and just play, you'll see that we won't be able to go through the center, okay, because the collision covers it up, right? You can see here that it's going straight through. So we need to change it a little bit. So I'm going to select that collision, and I'm going to go into the scale tool. Up here I'm going to turn off snapping, and I can kind of scale it, right? And then I can move it over. And all I'm going to do is try to match this shape of the collision to the door frame. Now what I like to do with doors, and what you should be thinking about, is like making it easy for the player to go through. Like the last thing you want to do is get caught up on a door frame, right? So I tend to make mine a little bit smaller than the actual frame, just a little bit. Oh, it's quite sensitive. There you go. Right, and then when we're happy, we can do Alt, and then just move the gizmo across, and then that creates another one. Now that would probably be enough, right? However, you could do a top one as well. So I'm going to Alt duplicate it, and I'm just going to scale it down, scale it along. Like that. Okay, but like I said, you could probably get away with not even doing one for the top. So we'll go like that. Click save, close out of it. Let's play. Let's see if we can walk through the center. We can walk through the center, and if I go left and right, I'm now hitting the collision of the door frame, right? So nice and easy. Now we don't need to add a collision to the handle, because that's going to be attached to the door essentially when we animate it. So if we do add a collision to the door handle, it's probably just a waste of resources, right? Because collision takes up processing power. So if we can get away with not having collision, then we need to make sure we're doing that. So good, I can move that back into the middle. I can click play. I shouldn't be able to walk through. Okay, so I'm going to end this video here, just nice and simple, importing the model into Unreal, setting up its collisions and applying the textures.